Is it because we don't want to commit to a certain kind of community because we feel like that label is something that we aren't necessarily comfortable with?
Comfortable is what you said. That's the thing.
And I think like we're certainly not saying, okay, well, everybody needs to just like pay the deposit on your retirement home now. Although the whole drinks with the girls retirement thing kind of blows that out of the water. See, what was the one we talked about? Oh, Chelsea Handler.
How do you even remember that? That is so
'Cause
random.
I remember like who's dating who in People magazine. Now,
Oh,
can
my
I remember
goodness.
what day of the week it is or that I have a meeting in 10 minutes? Of course not. So my brain stores selective
I
information
can't
that's
remember anything, so I'm impressed you can remember that.
what the hell was I saying?
Sorry,
See?
let's talk about the community. You said we don't need to go out and put our deposits down on the
Oh,
retirement
yeah,
community.
yeah.
Right.
But I do think like everything, we have got to get used to pushing ourselves out of the comfort zone for all sorts of freaking reasons.
Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. We have an interesting conversation today, one that kind of took Lisa and I actually by surprise, but we think you're going to really like it. But before we get into it, we're going to let you know what we're drinking. And today I am drinking Simply Pop.
Ooh, I have one of those. Okay, listeners, a listener sent this to us. How cool is that? I should have poured mine if I'd known you were going to pour yours. How does it taste?
Oh,
Is it good?
Darn. It's pretty good. Is yours pineapple mango? Mine's pineapple mango.
Yeah, it is. Dang it.
And it's a prebiotic soda. And I like I buy the orange juice by Simply.
Oh, okay.
Simply Juice. But so I'm pretty sure it's the same company because it looks like the same label. But, no sugar added, add zinc and vitamin C and some prebiotics and stuff like that. So it tastes good. It looks refreshing. And it was like 90 degrees at my house today in the middle of March. So not okay. But I do have a shot of vodka in here. Just full transparency.
Oh my God. Don't ever give me shit about the Starbucks and Clean Talks combo again.
You cannot have a pineapple mango little bubbly drink without vodka. I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm not judging. I was the one that did the upper and the downer at the same time, like Judy Garland style. So, I'm fine. I am drinking.
What are you drinking?
It looks a little weird in this, but I am drinking in a mason jar because my kids have taken all my glasses. A mango peach energy fizz from Arbonne, and it is delightfully refreshing. I need a little energy. It's been a hata of a day in the corporate jungle, so happy to be.
Do you really get energy from those? Like, can you tell? Do you feel a difference?
Yeah, but I'm not like, that's why I like them. It's not like a rock star or anything like that. And it's got like vitamins and all sorts of other good stuff in it. So to me, it tastes like a healthy soda. It doesn't, the bubbles, well, I should say the bubbles last almost as long as the soda does, I think. But yeah, and I don't have it in there now. I throw extra crap in there just to keep myself hydrated because I'm pretty bad about that. I was pretty good in my trip recently, which was great because I think that's why the jet lag didn't totally destroy me, although for a couple days it was touch and go. But I'm always trying to find stuff to keep more hydrated. So
Isn't it amazing how simple hydration and good sleep are? Like hydration and good sleep can just make all the difference.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I have yet to hit that double, like, what's the word I want to, like, double arrow, like doing both at once is what I'm trying to say with the words that aren't coming. Jesus, mother of God. right?
Either
Where
you
I'm
do
like
you have
well
one or the other.
rested, well hydrated. Like you would think it'd be nice to, and I mean, throw in like exercise consistently. My God, what could I not accomplish?
Yeah, I'm with you.
True story. All
So
right.
today we're going to talk about something, and I don't know, when we were, kind of coming up with this idea and doing a little research, thinking about how we wanted to tackle it, I don't know that anybody's really talked about this. What do you think? Have you heard people talking about this? Because
No.
I haven't really heard it from the way that we're going to come at it. And basically, what we're going to talk about is the fact that you don't necessarily need new friends; you just need community. And it sounds kind of confusing, but we'll dive into it and
Yeah.
we'll let you know
Yeah.
what we mean. So we spend so much time, and I do this as a coach for midlife women. Like we spend so much time, telling women and encouraging them, go after what you want, leave what's not working, start over, make a pivot, choose yourself, right? And I wholeheartedly believe all of that. But I've done some of those things, but what I wish someone had told me is that after you do all of that, you can still end up in your very intentional, very aligned life, right? That you chose, that you created, thinking, why does this feel lonelier than I
Mm-hmm.
expected?
Mm-hmm. And to be honest, listeners, what got us started with this is and we'll link it in the show notes. The second episode that we did about living abroad. Like we were like, oh, okay, part 2, like how to pack your suitcase, like what moving company, like, right? That's where our head was at. And guess what? We ended up having a really, really intense, deep talk about identity and this idea of like, exactly like you said, like those women are living their best freaking lives. And so, like, once all that got out of the way, the question was still like, who am I? And how do I get community around me? And so I definitely think that yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this because like let's be real, at this point in life, it's very different, right? When you're younger, if you have kids, it's like the PTA thing, it's like the school. Like I had this whole pack of friends who were like kids gymnastics friends, right? And soccer friends and whatever, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of
Yeah.
comes with the territory because you have that in common. But then, like, I don't hang out with my kids' parents' friends, like sometimes at games and stuff, but it's very, very different. So that built-in, like, build a community lever is disappearing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I experienced that on a smaller level. Like I didn't move to Italy or how do you say it? Nevis? Yeah, I didn't move out of the country to somewhere fabulous. I just literally moved an hour and 15 minutes down the the 5 freeway in Southern
Yeah, but
California.
15
But
minutes down the 5 freeway in Southern California is like hours, so
no, an
set
hour and
set
15,
the
not just 15.
I'm just
But
saying.
yeah, for sure. No, it feels like when I'm trying to get to my kids' house who still live in Orange County, it feels like they're in another country.
Yeah.
But I did. So it's like I created this great life and I love my life. I love what Tony and I built here. And also it feels very lonely. And it is that community. It's not the friendships per se, because I still have friends that I
Yep.
communicate with, even though I don't see them on the daily. I see Lisa once a week at least. And so it's like I'm still connected
Yeah.
to people, but I miss that sense of community. It's like, where are
Mhm.
my people?
Mhm. And it's interesting because the episode we did on reunions after I went to my college reunion is one of our most listened to episodes, and it's like I don't think people were listening to that because they were getting nostalgic about their high school or college reunion. I think people were listening that because we talked about community and just my experiences of at least on my end, going to that and feeling like, "Oh my god, I'm just with my people." Like, I don't have to be anything other than who I am, right? And I've talked about that when I hung out with my bestie from college, where it was like, it was so refreshing not to have to be someone else or like, cushion people's feelings or just like, make sure that you say things right in the workplace. I could just be. And it was like, "Oh my god, this is so lovely," you know?
And I think also the thing that I feel living here where I live, and I've been here 4 years, and of course I've made connections here and there. Tony's cousin and her husband moved a few minutes away, so that's fantastic. She has 2 horses, so we've been riding and volunteering at a ranch, and so that's been great. And have been kind of finding community that way, but I don't know. I still have this feeling of, of disconnection. I don't fully know my place yet here.
Mhm. Yep.
And in this stage of life I'm in, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, when we're younger, we build community around college or around, our kids' preschool or our kids' school. But now here at 57 and being an empty nester and divorced and all of it, it's like, well, where is my community?
Well, and let's be real. We had that little thing called the pandemic where all community was instantly gone. Gone for the better part of 2 years, maybe more, right? And that was, like, ripped away, and I mean, let's be real, like, virtual doesn't always cut it in those situations, and so, I also feel like people have forgotten how to connect in a lot of ways, belly to belly, face to face. I think that that's much harder for people now.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, like, in my work, I go into schools and districts and things, and it's always lovely when I do it because I miss, like, being around the kids in the classroom and people, and I always get along with the people that I meet with like a house on fire, and typically, like, I've met them usually first on a Zoom meeting, and then we meet in person, and it's like, right? It's so much easier. Not easier, that's not the right word. I just feel like you can be a whole ass person
It's
when
just
you're
more
in
natural.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know?
It feels more natural. You're not looking through a screen. Like,
Yeah.
Lisa and I have touched on this, but she and I have not been actually physically in
So
person
insane.
in decades, multiple decades, right? So, and we do this podcast and we see each other every week, but man, oh man, would I love to just, see her cute face in person and give her a hug and like have a cocktail with her.
Mhm.
So as much as I appreciate this medium, it's just, it's
Yeah.
different when you're literally face to face, belly to belly, like you say, which I love.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the other thing that's tricky, and just because I so resonate with this, especially after going through my divorce too, because even if you don't move, if you go through a divorce, you do lose your community.
Mhm.
Like you
People
just
choose,
do.
people pick sides, period, end of
People
story.
pick sides. And then also, if you've made this huge decision in your life and maybe there are still people who are quote unquote on your side or in your community, you kind of start outgrowing people because that's just the nature of, people who make big changes in their lives. Like,
Yep.
our girls talked about it on the moving abroad episode. It's like you can't help but outgrow people because
Yeah.
some people stay the same.
Mhm.
And when you make big choices and big decisions, it takes a lot of inner growth and strength to do that. So, and I really kind of felt that way, with my divorce. And I guess kind of being okay with the new community I found of other divorced women my age, which are fucking badass, which I love. But it's like, to I don't know, to just kind of go through the processes to fully step into that, like your new identity, I guess, like what, you were saying that we were talking about earlier.
And let's face it, right? Like, the media doesn't do us any favors. It's all like, you know, Sex in the City, like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, like all these kinds of things that set us up for, oh, you will meet your people and they will be your people for life, right? And both of us are very fortunate that we have people that have been like that. I mean, Kara and I, but also other people that aren't connected to either one of us. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm really grateful for that, but it is kind of unrealistic to think that you will be that connected to one person for your whole entire life and nothing's going to change like, I don't know, some people I think are with us for a season and
Yeah.
some people aren't. But I think that kind of the thing that I learned is, yeah, number one, people are with you for a season, but also it's like there's different communities in different situations, like, and I'm just trying to think of a good example, but obviously, like, I have my work friends that I would not survive without, right? I have people that I used to teach with, but I think the difficult thing is maintaining that, right? That's the hard part.
Yeah.
And I mean, maintaining friendships is hard enough. Maintaining a community is really difficult because that really needs its own engine. And like you said before, when your kids are younger, if you have kids, it's got that built-in engine and it's just like feeding that stuff, right?
Well,
So
yeah,
that
because it's not a choice whether or not you're going to take them to school,
totally.
and maybe chit chat with the other
Yeah.
kindergarten moms on the playground at drop off and
Yeah.
cry and on each other's shoulders, or you don't have a choice whether or not to take them to, basketball practice when they're
Yep.
9. So yeah, but yeah, as we get older, it's a choice.
Mhm.
And we have to actively like do something and seek out that community. We actually we went to our HOA meeting last night.
Oh, those are always fun. Somebody needs to
Which
do a
is
reality show about those.
oh, good lord. That would really be funny, actually. And I mean, I live on 3 acres, like, so it's funny to me that we even have an HOA, but it's for our roads. But Tony got roped in to be to
Of
being on
course he did.
a subcommittee, which he's fine. He'll do great. But I'm thinking to myself in the background, "Oh, hell no." It's like these people are so lovely, and this could literally be a little built-in
Yeah,
community,
but you're like,
literally
"Nope.
literally in my community, literally my neighbors, and I'm just like,
No, too much
"I don't
effort.
know."
Too much effort. They live near me. I'd have to, like, get out of my house."
But I've been on boards before, and it's like, "Oh,
Oh,
I don't know."
yeah.
That's not me. I'm
Yeah.
looking for the, like, wine drinking,
I know.
fun women of Fallbrook community.
Yeah, and,
So
it's interesting because I think it also kinda dovetails nicely when you think about, like, quote, unquote, "retirement" and getting older, right? And both of us have talked very candidly about our dads and kind of the choices that they made in terms of being in community or not. I mean, my dad definitely not. Karen's dad, I think a little bit more, but that was really hard for both of them to get them to, like, accept this idea of being in community because their space, their kind of things that were theirs are more important to them than that. Then we have people like my aunt and uncle who basically sold everything and went to live in Virginia in this basically cottage in this really bougie retirement village. And they are happy as clams. Like their medical stuff is right there. They can go to dinner if they want. And it's full of activities and people around them. And she's like, at first, she was like, yeah, the whole thing where we realize we're living with old people
yeah,
took
that's
took
it
us
right
a
there.
while to like absorb, but then I was like, "Well, shit, I am an old person."
Hey there, I'm Lisa Coricella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
I mean, is it because we don't wanna commit to a certain kind of community because we feel like that label is something that we aren't necessarily comfortable with? I don't know.
Comfortable is what you said that's the thing. It's your comfort zone. And I'm just gonna talk about my dad for a second because he passed away last month, and it makes me happy talking about him.
Mm.
But when I would take him to because I wanted him to because he was alone. After my stepmom died, he was alone. And, he was 85 and feeble, and we were, of course, afraid he was going to fall. But also, he has so much to offer still. He was still mentally, there.
Mhm.
And so we just wanted him to like have some friends and
Yeah.
have, somebody to eat dinner with and sing with and whatever. And anyway, so I would take him and he would indulge me. We'd go to these different places and we were having lunch one time and he tells me, he looks around and he goes, "There's nothing but a bunch of old people here." And at the time he's 83. And I'm looking at and should have been using a cane, but wasn't because he was too stubborn. But I
Yeah,
looked at him
exactly.
I said, "Dad, you are an old person." And that sounds harsh.
Newsflash.
I'm like, "Dad, these are literally your people." But he could not.
Yeah.
He just couldn't. He couldn't see himself there. And it was just way more comfortable for him to stay in his what he knew, what he was
Yeah.
familiar with. So
Yeah.
I
And
digress. Thank you.
it's funny because as I get older, I find myself being more crotchety and less patient with
Oh yeah.
situations. And I'm like, "Oh, I cannot start the, like, crouchy old lady stuff already." Like, that is There's a
soon.
long road for that, you know? And it's like, and I have these conversations inside my head. It's like, oh, you have to be more patient. And then my other side of me goes, yeah, but they're fucking idiots. So I have this war of like, you need to be nicer. And then the other side of me is like, yeah, but they're fucking stupid.
Do we though? I don't know.
So if you ever see me out in the community and I look like I'm hearing voices, it's probably because I am.
Because you're talking to yourself.
Pretty much. So I guess that's the question, right? It's like, I mean, if we can't get comfortable now, we're going to be like our dads. Like, let's be real. These people are a bunch of old people, right? And so it's kind of this flex a little bit, right? Like, again, I keep going back to the pandemic because everybody just basically nested for 2 years, you know, and whether or not you wanted to do it, you didn't have much of a choice. And people got very comfortable in their own little bubbles, like never going out and doing anything. And we all hated it, right? But it was still comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard to push past that comfort level.
The difference for me is, and I've already told this to my kids, I am not going to make you responsible for my happiness or my well-being when I'm in my 70s and 80s. And
Amen,
so what
sister.
that means is, that means you have to be proactive. And I was, with my dad, it was reactive. It wasn't proactive. And by the way, it probably would have been easier if my stepmom was still alive. Like they could have done it together. I mean, 100% it would have been easier because she would have been like, we're doing this. And he would have been like,
okay, fine.
Yeah, but it was too scary on his own. And I do get it. But I am not going to do that to my kids. Like it's too much. It's really too much for adult children to have to be responsible for where our parents go.
Agreed.
Because, what would be best and what would they want? And it's a lot.
Yeah. And I think like we're certainly not saying, okay, well, everybody needs to just like pay the deposit on your retirement home now. Although the whole drinks with the girls retirement thing kind of blows that out of the water. That
I like it.
We could do a whole episode on that. At any rate, see, what was the one we talked about? Oh, Chelsea Handler. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes.
How do you even remember that? That is so random.
I remember like who's dating who in People magazine. Now, can I remember what day of the week it is or that I have a meeting in 10 minutes? Of course not. So my brain stores selective information.
I can't remember anything. So I'm impressed you can remember that. Anyway.
I mean, I guess I need to find my trivia queen I don't freaking know. At any rate, what the hell was I saying?
Sorry, let's talk about the community. You said we don't need to go out and put our deposits down on the retirement community.
Yeah,
right.
But I do think like everything, right? Like me pushing myself to exercise more, like hydrate more, sleep, all those things. We have got to get used to pushing ourselves out of the comfort zone for all sorts of freaking reasons. And we have an episode coming up just about that. But I think the community piece is no different. Like you just can't expect to go out there and expect it to be like the PTA or in my case, like my college, right? It's just not. And that's not kind of what is going to do it. So I think it goes back to just like, I don't know. I think back to the advice that my mom gave me, which sucked, but just find a nice boy in church, like, yeah, that didn't work out so much, right? But in all seriousness, it's like, what are you doing to put yourself out there in community, in things that you enjoy doing?
Yeah.
Because that's where your people are, right? And I think also this idea of like, you cannot expect one community to be all things to you. Like, it'd be nice, but this isn't Little House on the freaking Prairie, like it is.
And here's my problem too. I can't expect the communities that I am building now or will build to compete with, my college girlfriends, that community, or my girlfriends that I have that our kids went to preschool together. Like there's just no way anything I build is, so I have to even just get that out of my mind. Once I can and stop comparing, I think it's easier because you just, you take it for what it is. Oh, I'm going to learn pickleball or somebody to go grab a coffee with or, just shared interests. But yeah, I think that's something that kind of trips me up sometimes.
I think the hard part is when you're in that moment, right? You're like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. I'm going to have these friends and we're going to always be in touch and blah, 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 blah. And life will not get in the way and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not like you're going through that space thinking, grab it while you can, and it's hard because then that becomes the measure. And it's just unrealistic.
Well, like you said earlier, nobody tells you when you're in your 20s and 30s that people are in your life for a season. Like that and I think that's good information to have when you're forming relationships.
Hello.
Because if you're feeling weird or off or your intuition's telling you something about a friendship, you can fucking listen. It's like permission. You don't have to be besties with everybody.
Yep. And as people pleasers, we tend to think that. Yeah.
Definitely.
No, and I also think like particularly tough seasons, you bond with certain people really closely. Like I will just say that I'm going through a particularly difficult time in the workplace, and I have a really, really good work bestie. Shout out to Kelly. That is like the air that I breathe. Like the fact that I'm connected to her on the daily is like keeping me sane, So, I mean, are we saying it's a combination of like get out of your comfort zone, but at the same time, don't get so far out of your comfort zone that you are giving your time and space and energy to people that don't deserve it? And if that's what we're saying, that's kind of fluffy. It's not like we're saying, this is what it is, listeners.
No, I think those are like the sandwich bread pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the boundaries. And I think too, like if something's feeling off, you don't need to like have this big, you don't need to get divorced or move out of the country to kind of feel this disconnect, like to get to this stage in life and just be like, how come I'm not feeling connected, or how come I'm not feeling supported, or, and maybe that's your cue that maybe you need to build a new or different community, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Doesn't mean the people in your life are bad. It just might mean you need something a little different.
No, and I think I go back to, like I said, my mom saying, "Why don't you just date someone at church?" Right? It's like, oh, just find new friends. Go sit at the other lunch table. Easier said than done. Like my mother-in-law was notoriously ridiculous for that, right? Like she just marched to her own drum and thought everybody should as well, right? So, my husband's wearing like these sandals and nobody's wearing sandals. They're calling them Jesus creepers, and he's getting like bullied left and right. She's like, just ignore them, like, okay, as he comes home with his third bloody nose. So it's hard because I think those things are ringing in our head a lot of time, right? And I think the bottom line is you are a grown-ass woman, and I think complacency is not the way to go because that muscle is just going to atrophy. It's just going to get worse. And we've seen it happen with our parents. We've seen it happen with so many people. So I think there's something to be said about pushing yourself, but I think that you also really need to know who you are and what your values are, because taking on someone that is so far removed just to call it quote unquote community, that doesn't seem enjoyable in any kind of way.
No, not at all. And who would do that? I don't know. At this stage in life, I think people would be more apt to be on the other side, where they would just stay inside and just be like, oh, forget it. I'm not going to try. And by the way, making friends, I don't care if you're 9 or 59.
It's not
easy. It's really not easy. And it's funny. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but when I first moved here, I would literally, whenever I was in like with a group of people, I would say like, I need friends. Wait, anybody
oh
that
my
was
God. I'm embarrassed for you.
Seemed like I could vibe with. Yeah. If I'm like, okay, I like her vibe. I need friends. Can I be your friend? No, literally.
Oh my God.
That was me.
Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. Oh my sweet Jesus. I am just going to call it like it is. And without going down the political rabbit hole, the bottom line is everybody on both sides, I think, has experienced they must think the same way I do. Oh my gosh, they don't. I mean, raise your hand if that has been your experience. And people that you're just like, wait, what? All the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which side you come down on. I think that all of us have done a national version of like, wait, what? And that's really hard because I feel like sometimes Well, not sometimes. It's a factor now when you build community. And I don't think people like intentionally are like, I'm not going to talk to anyone that voted this way. But I think that people are so gun shy from like the social media bullshit and just all the crazy rhetoric and just stuff that's happening that it's like, it's very tempting to say, you know what, I'm just going to associate with quote unquote my people. And that means the people that voted the way I voted, right? And I have really tried hard not to do that. And to me, the only way I can do that is with people that maybe are looking at things a little differently than I am. We just take politics out of the picture.
Yeah.
It's just not there. And we've, in the cases that I can think of, they're long-standing friends, right? And I'm like, I'm not throwing 30 years of friendship out the window just because we're arguing about this. So stop. We're just not going to talk about this. And there's plenty of other stuff that we have in common. So I'm sure listeners, you guys have your own stories with this, but I do think that's a new challenge that we're facing in the US right now in terms of how to build that community for sure.
Yeah, because I think your tolerance, and probably on both sides. I mean, I just know my side, but
Totally.
your tolerance for accepting whatever's on the other side is very small. And I think, with long-standing friends, I agree. I'm like, I am not tossing away 30 years of amazing friendship because we didn't vote the same. But I have to say, I've had people in my neighborhood who we've gone over to, hang out with, have a glass of wine or whatever. And, like they had no problem just talking about where they are coming from and not giving a rat's ass where we were coming from and making whoever didn't believe that the way they believed feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
So it's like, I choose not to be in community with you.
No, that's not respectful. I mean, and when I talk about these people that I've kind of made this agreement with, tacit or otherwise, like these are people that are respectful, right? Like if I've gone down the rabbit hole, I've been respectful on their feed and several times have just said, you know what, I'm on so-and-so's feed. I'm going to respect their viewpoint and just leave it to them as to whether they want this discussed on their feed. But you have to have that mutual respect. Otherwise, there's just no point. You can't be the only one being like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my Midlife Reclamation Guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
What about, like, I think, building a new community or a new community for yourself is exciting on one hand because you're a different version of you than you were 20, 30 years ago, even 5 years, even last week, for God's sake, right? So you're a different version of yourself. And I mean, I've had friendships that haven't evolved with me over time. And those, unfortunately, they fall away. But I guess that's what we were referring to. That's, they're here for a season and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean there's any animosity. But I think that's a fun thing about building a new community is you get to be who you are now.
Yep.
People aren't relating to you, when you were 19 and doing a beer bong in the frat house. Which there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But
yeah. I mean, I guess it is a recipe of, what's the word? Titrating that that's not the right word, but titrating that comfort zone, right? And just like, what's the sweet spot of like pushing myself, but not like being so far over the edge of the roller coaster that you're like, oh, no, we're not doing that drop. I don't know. In particular, I'm thinking about Shannon Whaley's story on the Our Living Abroad podcast. And really, she was very vulnerable and real, like all those women were. Like, I was so thankful that they chose to really be transparent about their struggles. Like, what a gift, I mean, it was incredible. And that's a lot of how this kind of grew out of. But I mean, she was really just like, my life is pretty insular right now because, and she just kind of ticked off like, I'm this, I value this, or I'm doing this right now, but these are the kind of people that are attracted to that. So, in her situation, in her case, she's making a choice to be. Please hold. Gotta love your estrogen patch alarm. Keeping it real. Just keeping it real. I think we should keep that in. Don't edit that out.
Okay.
At any rate, yeah, she was very forthright about like, yeah, this is just kind of the season I'm in right now because I have made the decision to live my life this way. And that is more important to me than having a bunch of people around that I don't vibe with.
Yeah. And I just thought of this right now, but like, let's, you spend, or at least I'm going to speak for myself. I feel like my 20s and my 30s and even my 40s were a whirlwind, because you're figuring out who you are, you're going to school, you're finding a job, you're finding a person if you want, you're maybe having kids, you're getting a house if maybe, you're just kind of doing all these things. And then when we get to this season of life, we have an opportunity to just be with ourselves.
Yeah. And that's hard for some people.
It's very hard for some people, but like just what an opportunity for, just for growth and for introspection and just deciding what do I like? Who am I? What do I want?
Yeah.
And maybe we will decide we don't want a community. Maybe we'll decide I just want Tony and my chickens and
I'm good.
My kids. And that's it.
And maybe I'll talk to Lisa once a week and record it, but that's it. That's as far as I'm going.
So, I mean, I don't know. Listeners, let us know. Get in our inbox. Send us an email. Like, we really want to know where you're at on this because I'm curious.
And it's really interesting because, much like teaching, you wear a lot of different hats. And I'll go back to my job. I interact with a lot of people on the daily, and I have to interact with them and learn about what they want and kind of where they've been and what their history is and talk to them about like where I'm coming from and how I can help. And I've had to kind of learn a lot of psychology, right? And not this like Vulcan mind meld stuff, although sometimes it can be that way. But I was thinking about this on this trip that I went in, and I was in a meeting and I kind of had this idea of where I wanted it to go. And they kept going in a different way, most particularly this one particular woman. And it finally dawned on me. And it was like, she just wants to talk and share and talk about where she's at with her students and the challenges that she's facing. She doesn't need you to solve the problem right now. You just need to let her talk, And so I think it's kind of being able to really ascertain where someone is at and not holding them, that's not the right word. Expecting more, but not expecting more. Like, don't, like when you're young and you're just going to every bar or whatever going, oh, am I going to meet Prince Charming, right? It's that same kind of like, or Princess Charming. It's that same kind of expectant behavior that just makes you kind of, like you have to kind of go into each interaction with someone. I think just being open and vulnerable, which is so freaking hard because we're like, I'm 50 freaking 8. Like, I'm done. I'm not going to do that. So I think that's also the part where people are just like, screw it. I'm just going to be a little hermit. I don't want to be vulnerable. I'm too old for this shit. Like I did middle school a while ago,
Yeah. And also I only want I don't want the small talk. Like if I'm going to connect with somebody, I don't necessarily want the small talk. Like I want to ask you some deeper questions, and I want you to ask me too. I don't know. That's just where I'm at. It's funny. I got together a few months ago with my friends from where I used to live. All of our kids went to preschool together. We met for lunch, and there's 8 of us. So when we sit around a table, and you know how it is, it gets like hens squawking, and there's all these side conversations. And I was like, oh no, we're not doing that. I said, we're going around the table, and this is what I actually do. We do this with my college girlfriends because we see each other like once or twice a year. So I'm like, we're going around the table. Everybody has 15 minutes because I need to know everything that is going on in everybody's lives. Because I mean, big things are happening in everybody's lives, and I don't live there anymore, so I don't know what's happening. So they thought that was funny, but they indulged me, and it was great. And they even learned things that they didn't know, and they're all still in the same community together, the same town.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm not here for the small talk. I don't really care what, I want to know the big things.
And it's kind of funny because in a lot of ways, like what I do on the daily basis with my job is the small talk in a lot of ways. And my husband and my daughter are always like, you could talk the bark off a tree. Like you can have something to say to everybody. But I will say that it is very much a passion of mine. Is that the best way to describe it? I don't know. I really love to approach a day when I'm in that space with the idea that I just want to make one person smile and laugh, right? And just being aware and noticing people around me enough to be like, oh, she has freaking cool tattoos, or like, I love that jacket, right? And instead of keeping it to myself, just saying, wow, I love those shoes. And not doing it to be performative, but doing it to really with this idea of recognizing something positive. And that might be my teaching background, right? As teachers, we're always taught like 4 positives to 1 negative. I don't know what constructed that in me, but I find a lot of pleasure in just noticing something positive about people that I may not know, because it's just like there's so much garbage out there, right? It's just if I can put in a few little positivity sparkles during my day, I feel like I've like deposited to the bank of like happiness in the world, which God knows we need massive deposits.
I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible person. I don't think I've ever thought that in my life. Oh, I just want to make them happy. If I could just
No, but not happy. I'm not going like, please make you happy. I'm just saying, going with the expectation of being very present wherever you are and just noticing things and pointing them out to people. That's all I'm saying. It just requires really being, and it helps me too, right? I'm not like worrying about stuff. I'm just like
that's
in
so
the
perfect
moment
for you. I love that for you.
Right? I know, because we all know like where my head goes. So I guess I'm
everywhere.
Yeah. I'm just saying this because I think that there's a difference between small talk for small talk's sake and just community can be like, I really like her shoes and I'm going to tell her that. Right? Or the mom whose toddler's flipping out and she's freaking out and you just go, you know what? You're doing a really good job. I know you don't think that you are, but you are, right? And I'm not thinking she's going to turn around and be like, oh my God, you're my best friend, right? But I know I sure as hell would have appreciated someone saying that to me when I was in the middle of it. And I got the opposite. I got the judgy, like horrible comments when my kids were having meltdowns. And so I'm not going to contribute to that end of the story, but I can give someone a little light, And some days I'm not in that space, right? But
yeah.
I just feel like that's one thing I can do to make the world a better place. And again, just put some positive deposits in that bank,
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm here for that. I am a girl's girl. It's funny. I was with Peyton. Where were we? Maybe shopping. I don't even know. But this woman was wearing something and it looked so fabulous on her. And she was walking this way. We were walking that way. And I just said, hey, you look so great. I love that outfit on you. And she's like, oh my God. And Peyton looks at me and she's like, you're a girl's girl. And then I said, yeah, I am a girl's girl. We should all be girls' girls because I feel like, like you supporting the young moms, just talking to, I love telling women who are letting their hair go natural. I love complimenting them, and I just think, we have to be in each other's corners as women because we just have to.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's imperative.
Absolutely. And my daughter will sit there and roll her eyes, but I know she's watching. I know secretly she's like, oh, okay. Like this is how to be in the world. And there's days when you can't do that. There's days when you cannot. I'll tell you what. I got caught in that horrific storm in Hawaii couple weeks ago. No, last week. Jeez,
a couple days ago.
Good God. Right? There were no toes in the sand for me. I was literally on a plane for 6 hours in clothes that were soaked to the bone. Underwear, pants, socks, everything. It was misery. Let me tell you, I didn't feel like talking to anybody about shit. I was just like, the flight attendant was like, oh, you're in bare feet. I'm like, yeah, my shoes and socks are soaking wet. Well, that may not be comfortable for you. I'm like, I don't have a choice, lady. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but there's no clean set of clothes like that were packed. So yeah, in that space, I wasn't going to be a bitch to everyone, but I did not want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to like get through my own misery and get to the other side of it.
Yeah. There's no glimmers coming out of you that day.
Oh, hell to the no.
So let's talk about what actually helps. Because, like Lisa and I were saying, it's not just like, oh, go make friends or just put yourself out there, right? Like, what are some real things that we can do to build community?
Yeah.
So the first thing we could do is find the spaces where people are willing to be themselves. It's not, you don't have to wade through the bullshit to find out who they really are. It's conversations that actually you can connect on. And I think that's how we've built our community up until this point. It's like, my girls who our kids went to preschool together, right? It's like, we didn't know what the hell we were doing as young parents. Like you're all winging it. And so when you can bounce ideas off people or be like, oh my gosh, that's so hard. Or what a great idea. I think that's how you do it. And like I said earlier, I just don't have the energy for like anything less than something that's going to be real.
Well, and spoiler alert, those conversations are not on social media. I know everybody thinks that can be a substitute. There's just no substitute for belly to belly conversations. And I get it, right? Like Shannon talked about the fact that, she would take her phone with her and have conversations with her people. And I get it. There's a time and place for that. But I would just quietly suggest to people that it needs to happen in real life a lot more than I think we are feeling comfortable doing. And I think that's part of the whole push yourself out of the comfort zone thing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that to myself as well. Believe me, there are times where I'm like, oh God, I don't want to see a single person today. Thank God my job's virtual. I get it. Like, believe me.
Yeah. But then you get so comfortable not seeing people. Like, that's where I'm at.
See?
It's like, I'm so comfortable just chilling with my chickens, my dogs, my man. It's like, I FaceTime the grandkids and the kids and I get to see them, several times a month. And so that fills my cup. But yeah, it's like, do I really need to go out of the house?
I've told you about my passion for the work mullet, right?
Right. Yes.
Party on the bottom, yoga pants, business on the top. Like, I freaking love that. Every day I wake up, what are you grateful for? I can do the work mullet today. It can't always be. I freaking love that. But again, like that comfort level can be dangerous. I have to be able to do that. And that I think goes along with the next suggestion, which is feeling willing to initiate and feel a little awkward, right? For every time I was like, oh, I really like your shoes, there have been people that have been like, and then I'm like, well, I guess she doesn't need any positivity in her life. She ain't getting any from me, right? Like there will be times when people aren't ready to receive that. And I think unlike middle school, you're now in a position to be, that's more about them than is about me. And I dropped my quarter in the positivity bank. It wasn't well received. Next.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn. Do
not worry about the relationships that are just naturally shifting. Maybe they're not blowing up. There's not like a big thing that happens. It's just, just either fades away or it just has a quiet little shift and maybe you only, connect every once in a while, but not every relationship is meant to go deeper. Like, some people don't want that and you don't need 400 friends on that level. Like I don't
Yep.
know how you would do that
Well,
emotionally.
and I also think that as women, excuse me, we are DNA coded to look at the number of our relationships and the depth of the relationships that we have to be our sign that we are a good person in the world, right? Yes, we want to be successful at work, right? But it's very different from men. Like my husband has very few, like, he really doesn't have male friends that he'll hang out with. Like there are people that we hang out with as couples that he would do something with the male partner in that relationship, but it's not like me. Like he doesn't need to go every day and like talk to people. He's like, oh, I have you. What do I need that for? And I'm like, oh, dude, that's not a good place to be. But I digress. Yeah, I think that that's part of it is we have this invisible tally sheet of like, okay, I have all these friends and da 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 da. And when somebody kind of erases the hash mark, there is that feeling that I think we all have to fight that, oh, that means I'm less than. They rejected me. They whatever, and that's, I just think, part of being a woman.
It's the good girl conditioning at play,
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not a good person in our mind, if we are, losing friends, making somebody angry with us, disappointing somebody, having a conflict in a friendship like that, that for a woman, I mean, well, I'll speak for myself like that. It took me many, many years to learn to be okay with that. And now I'm kind of the master. So,
yeah. I mean,
if anybody needs help, let me know.
We talked about that. I can't remember what the episode was called, but we basically talked about friend breakups in some episode and how painful those can be, like more painful than a relationship breaking up in a lot of times. So the other thing that those of us impatient girlies need to realize is you need to give it time. Okay. This isn't elementary school where you're like, hey, you want to share my potato chips? And you're like besties for life. Okay. Like we've all been through the wars. We've had some stuff going on. It's going to take some time to have a deep connection, right? And again, not everybody's going to be that deep connection, but you can't just like bring something to the potluck and expect like the tribe is going to meet you there. And the older you get, the more difficult that is, right? You have to keep doing that thing over and over and over, right? Like, I think the fact that Karen's going to get dragged to these HOA meetings because Tony's on the committee, she's going to have to soften the stance a little bit,
Oh, no. Just because he's on it doesn't mean I have to go. He can relay all the information.
Okay, so you're basically saying you're going to ignore all the advice we're giving our listeners right now and just not go.
No, not at all. What I'm saying is those are not I don't want to say those are not my people.
How do you know?
Let me just say, it's the board. It's the HOA board. It's not the general meeting. So I'm not like siphoning 90 people. It's just this little group.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. He will probably make me go. Actually, I don't know. But why'd you bring that up?
Just saying. We hold each other accountable on this podcast.
Well, that's a good transition into the next one. You create what you're craving. So whatever you're feeling like you're missing or what you want, then create that. Like I started volunteering at a therapeutic riding ranch. I used to ride horses when I was younger. And it's like, it is the most fantastic thing I've done. And the people there are great. We're like-minded horse people, animal people, don't mind getting dirty, shoveling horse shit. And so it's, create what you're craving. And that's what I did also with my Facebook group, the Reclamation Lounge. Like I needed to be in community with other bold women who are making big choices in their lives, who are not settling for mediocrity, right? So I created this group for them as well as for myself. So create what you're craving.
Yeah. And I think this podcast is a perfect like period on the end of that sentence. Like talk about create what you were craving. I mean, we started this because we felt like we had something to say, not to preach, but something to say to women like us and felt like the things that we were dealing with were the things that you guys were dealing with. And that maybe, just maybe, there was a community out there that might be in need of that. And guess what? you all showed up and you continue to show up. And clearly we're talking about stuff that you want to listen to. And guess what? That is community, right? We're just saying, don't make the community all in your earbuds. Like, we love you. Don't get us wrong. Like, keep showing up, but you got to do the IRL stuff sometimes too.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about some takeaways. Lisa, what do you think? If somebody is listening and some of the things that we've touched on today are really, resonating for them or it struck a nerve, what do you really want them to take in or walk away with?
I really think that this is a process of push yourself a little bit, but don't be hard on yourself. And that's such a mushy thing to say. Like, that's been my frustration during this episode is like, I feel like it's like we're kind of contradicting ourselves in a lot of ways, right? But I think that you have to get to the point where you know yourself well enough to know when you're bullshitting, right? Like, for example, I've been wanting to do this adult hip hop class every Thursday for like 6 months now. Have I gotten my ass out of the door on a Thursday? No, there's always something that needs to happen, right? And again, because I have these conversations in my head, I've had this conversation with myself multiple times where it's like, get your ass out the door. It's Thursday. And then the other part of myself goes, yeah, but it's freezing cold and it's raining and I'm so comfortable. And oh, I never get time to spend with my husband. Right. And so you can see who's winning the side of that argument. Right. So I totally get it. Like this is this is a daily struggle. But I do think that you have to kind of find that groove of what am I too comfortable with? And what is a non-negotiable for me? And I only you can decide that, right? And the one thing I do know is it's a little more out of your comfort zone than you think it is. And you don't have to be tolerant of someone's ridiculous bullshit for any second longer than it takes to identify what it is, right? That's the ruler, I think, really.
I love it. Did I ever tell you I did a hip hop class?
I think you did at one point.
Oh, it was awful, but I'm not a dancer like you.
It was awful. I was scarred for life.
Listeners, here's the harsh reality. Lisa is a dancer. I am not, but I love to dance. It's just like singing. I love to sing and dance. I cannot do either. But I signed up for a hip hop class because I tell you, my 40s were all about pushing the edges, doing uncomfortable things, and having fun. So I thought, okay, I'm going to learn all these cool moves that I can use when Tony and I go to the 80s bar.
Oh my
dancing,
God, that's
right?
adorable.
Like,
that's adorable.
Okay, wrong. We had to do a freaking program that was you could put on with the for the community. Like I had to learn a dance, and I can't keep time. I can't.
Girl, you should have called me because I would have been like, I don't know that this is the right venue for this particular bucket list item.
I'm looking in the mirror and I know I'm supposed to go left, but I'm looking in the mirror. So I go right. So I go the wrong way. No, but it was a heck of a lot of fun. I had a couple of girlfriends that did it with me and they were way better dancers than me. And I just have to say, I put my foot down at the community show. I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not getting up on a stage
Hard
in front of
pass.
My community and try to dance hip hop. No, but I did it. It was fun. And I did the whole class. I didn't dip out after.
Good girl.
But anyway, that's a fun memory. So I want listeners to walk away from this episode just thinking like, if you are in that place, because I've been in that place where I've made this big move, I've created this great life. And it's like, I step back and I go, wow, why do I still feel so lonely? That doesn't necessarily mean that I made the wrong decision. Because believe me, I've been up at 3 a.m. thinking that, oh my God, Karen, what the fuck did you do?
Yeah.
You left everything that you were comfortable. You left all your friends.
Yeah.
You moved further away from your kids. Oh, but it's like in my gut, in my soul, I know I didn't make the wrong decision, but you have to, it's that balance. You have to, you don't want to totally be a hermit, right? Mm-hmm. So just because you might feel like this big decision caused this loneliness, just take a step back and just assess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's that whole magical thinking piece that we talked about again in our, that episode was just so powerful, like to be in the room for that. Listeners, if you haven't caught that, you really need to listen. It was magical. It really, really was. And they talk about this,
Are you
right?
talking about the moving abroad one?
Yeah. Yeah. The second one we did, because like every single one of them was like, Look, I didn't go into this expecting that all my problems would be magically solved if I could just move out of the country. And still dealing with the same issues that I dealt with when I was back in the US, right? I'm craving community. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. I'm still trying to push myself out of my comfort zone, right? And I think that that was an important distinction is in one way or another, all three of them said I had to get to the point where I knew that this life wasn't working for me anymore. I knew that I had to make a big change, but also realized that even when I made that big change, that wasn't going to instantly solve all my problems in life. And I think that, yeah, it's about kind of taking some responsibility, right? Life shouldn't just happen to you. I think you have to kind of do there and then just leave a little room for the magic zhuzh at the top to show up, you know?
Oh, yes, the magic. Here for the magic. All right, listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun on this episode. This episode was really important to us, and I hope that you enjoyed it and you walked away with a little juicy nugget that you can apply to your own life. What else, Lisa?
Hey, email us. We would love to hear from you guys. Like, I can't even tell you how fun it was to get a couple of drinks from that listener that sent it to us. That was super fun. Yeah, just say what's on your mind, you know? And we also love it when people give us episode suggestions. Like, y'all, this isn't just about us and like how we need to pontificate on stuff. Like, I hope we don't come across that way. But if there's stuff you want us to do an episode on, abso-frickin-lutely send it to us, right? We'd love to hear that.
And if there's an episode that you really liked, go leave us a 5-star review.
Yes, please, that.
That would be incredible. We have a 5-star rating right now, and we want to keep that going. And we can only do that with you guys because we can't leave ourselves reviews.
And just so you know how to do it, right? I know how to do it in Apple. I don't know about the other platforms, but basically you go to the place where the podcast is. So not the episode screen, but the podcast screen. And if you keep scrolling down, it'll show the reviews for the podcast. And then I think it's below that. So you got to kind of scroll a bit, but just keep like going and you'll find it. And then it'll say something to the effect of, you want to leave a review. And it's super easy. Like you don't have to like go off on a tangent, but it's really helpful for us because then it starts showing more women that this community is here and open for inclusion. That's unfortunately how an algorithm works, and we just kind of have to feed it that way. But all of that stuff you can find at our website, drinkswiththegirlspodcast.com. Join the Pod Squad. That, again, we keep talking about that. That is going to be key to Drinks with the Girls 2.0, which we're not quite ready to announce yet. But yeah, do us a favor and jump on that. We're going to send the show notes to you right in your inbox. You'll have it every week. You won't have to dumpster dive for episodes, but we have a lot of super exciting stuff that's coming up on our 2-year anniversary. Holy Mother of God. That we'll kind of be announcing over the next few months. All pretty cool stuff. So, listeners, here's to pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, but not so far that you fall off the cliff. So that's how I'm going to categorize it, right? Cheers, everybody.